Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of our journey since the very beginning. And that's a lot of episodes in. So thank you, Folgers. We're so grateful for you. Also, thank you to Justice Snicker, a.k.a. Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, for the contribution of his time, his music, and his voice for the intro that you just heard. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite streaming platforms, including Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, you name it, he's there. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind our banners and logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the Halloween genre, but does great commission pieces of any sort. Tonight, we welcome back the return of the lovely Lynn Russell. It's been a while. She was one of our earlier guests and just phenomenal. People just loved her, so knowledgeable. She is considered the expert in near-death experiences. And she's here to talk about her newest book, Beyond NDEs, The Next Step in Near-Death Experience Research, which is going to be awesome. So she's going to dig deep into spiritual messages that come back from those who have been there. Wow, right? I think that's pretty cool. Get those messages. Sometimes they're so like foreboding. I know, foreboding. And sometimes they come back really enlightened and so on. And I thought, wow, that's fantastic.
Oh my God.
So I'm looking forward to having her back. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Right?
I can get answers. Your hair looks great. I can get answers. Your hair looks really good.
My hair?
Yeah.
I brushed it.
No, I'm seeing the color. I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. The color looks amazing. I know.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody says you smell good, I showered.
I know. I showered. Isn't
Yeah.
that great?
Yeah.
So,
Human again.
I know. Woohoo.
Oh my God.
So
my
yes,
gosh.
so yeah, we are waiting on the lovely Lynn Russell. I just think she's just phenomenal. She's just such a lovely, lovely person, and
Absolutely.
and she is smart as a whip. I cannot tell you how many people I have recommended her to for documentaries and books, and
Wow.
she truly is. I mean,
Yeah.
she's what, 40, 50 years into this research, which is just like,
Can't top that.
I know.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Seriously,
Anything
it is.
she is a gift
I know,
at that
right?
point.
So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. You've had NDEs. What
A
were they like?
few.
A few. What were they like for you? I mean, we've talked about this briefly, but I had one younger, and I don't have a whole lot of recollection of it because I was like maybe 9 or 10.
When you're that young, no, you don't remember.
I showered too. Yay, Kathy!
Yay! But you remember the trauma, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that there was trauma though?
You know what? I remember that there was some kind of trauma, but I was underwater also, and I found a sense of peace there, which apparently is supposed to be quite normal. And then I could see this light coming through the reeds, and I just felt very at peace. And all of a sudden, this hand just grabbed me and just like took
The
me out.
reeds. You know, Michelle was in a lake. Yes.
Yeah, but I used to do this thing where I would get into, like the weeds and things like that, just
Yeah.
go in there and
Yeah.
just tall grasses. And I could lay there because I could hold my breath for ages. And I would just lay on the bottom and it would freak people out. But I guess I was there obviously longer because I don't remember anything at
I
that point.
used to upset my mother all the time when I went under.
Ah, right. So,
I
yeah,
I know that you can have NDEs and not remember, but you can
right,
associate a trauma with it because I'm still trying to. I actually have to sit down and talk to my brother about this. When I was drowning at
right,
swimming lessons, and my
right,
brother jumped the fence to pull
right.
me out of the water,
Yeah,
and I
same.
thought he was going to kill. He's not even a violent person. Fernando's very calm. I thought he was going to kill them, because
Yeah,
I was a little girl. I was
yeah,
probably 6 or 7. After that, they just
yeah.
threw me in the lake. I was
I
probably six
know.
or
What,
seven,
what
and
a joke.
the deep end was 4.5 feet for me.
Right.
My top went up, and I
It's still now because you're only 4.5 feet high.
I
I love you though. No, it's true. I wasn't allowed to stay on the bottom anymore after that. They said, no, you can't come swimming here if you're just gonna linger around the bottom of the water. I don't care how long you can hold your breath. You went over this time. And then you know what? As an adult, I did have another experience where I was bedridden for about 4 days with extreme pain. Like I lost my vision. I had no
oh
hearing. There was
my
some
lord.
infection apparently when the
Yeah.
doctor came to the house. I set in behind my eyes, and I remember just drifting off. And somebody kept talking to me to say, do you want it to just stop? And I had babies. Like, no, I don't care. My head could crack open and I won't do anything. It just got very
Yeah.
strange. I'll have to talk about it another time. But for now, we've got our lovely guest who's just tuned
Yay.
in. I know. We're so
Yay.
excited. We're so excited. You
Woohoo.
tell
Let
we're all
me fix
excited.
this
Here
hair
we go.
because Amelia's got 2 cowlicks in the front of her head.
And we have a lot of people. I can see people like on the different platforms. We for the record are on simultaneously on 8 different platforms, including Roku TV. Roku TV is the only one that does not have a chat room. Okay, so come on over to the Outer Realm YouTube page, and because I see you guys all hanging in there, but come on in there and join into the chat room, and we can
Yeah, you
see the
can
chat.
still watch it on Roku. You
Well, you
just
can. That's
go
all
and
you can
chat.
do,
Just
though.
go and chat there.
Hello.
Hello, beautiful lady.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
You look
Oh,
fabulous.
do.
Thanks.
It's so nice to have you back on. It's
Oh,
been
yeah.
forever.
I've been really looking forward to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. So have we. I mean,
It's always a
normally
gift.
Amelia just like says, no, you're going solo tonight. But tonight, I don't care
No,
how.
I don't do that.
I know, I'm just playing with you.
Because I don't want guests
I don't
listening
care
going,
how I'm
she didn't
feeling. I'm
show up
coming
for
on.
me. And it's like, no, I suffer from migraines. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
tonight
it's
you said, no, I don't care how
my
bad I'm
head
feeling.
hurts and I'm still here. I'm like,
There we
yeah,
go.
I don't. And you made a comment on our promo, and I'm like, I'm not gonna miss it for the world, and I meant it.
That's
So
it. That's it.
yeah.
So how are you?
I'm wonderful. I just had my 86th birthday.
Oh
So
my God, happy birthday.
Oh
You're the
my
champion.
I
happy
keep pinching
birthday.
myself to make sure it was real.
Oh, of
Wow.
course it is.
That's
Of course it is.
wonderful. And you're still working.
Yeah. Oh, I'll never stop.
I love
I
that.
really believe that that's what keeps your continually going is you don't stop.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
agree.
know.
Yeah.
agree.
My
I
uncle's
love it.
98 and he still drives.
Yeah, good.
So yeah.
I
So
know. I
hello
love it.
everybody. Yeah.
I love it. We're going to do a quick recap because it's been a real long time since you've been on, and I
A
know you
minute.
have a new book that we're going to, yeah, just a hot minute, but tell everybody about yourself, your background, and how, how does one just jump into, well, I'm just going to study NDEs and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be an expert at it, just so you all know. So why don't you tell us a bit about your journey and your story?
Well, actually, my journey was very long. I started off as 8 years old. When I found out that someday I was going to die, and my mother was an atheist, and so I asked her what happened when you die, and she told me that you just disappear, and that really frightened me because I didn't want to disappear.
No.
No. Oh my God, parents were it's horrible.
Yeah. Well, it was her belief system, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that pushed me to start studying all kinds of faiths and spirituality. And, I just immersed myself into spirituality. So then I worked as a family counselor for 30 years. And then when I retired, I was going to write a book. And the book was going to have a woman who asked, it isn't called astral projecting anymore. I think it's called OBE. So
Yes.
put a body. So she was going to be doing some strange things. I didn't even know if that was possible because I don't OBE.
Right.
So I looked it up online and wound up on NDERF, Near Death Experience Research Foundation, because they had OBEs on there. But I got sidetracked into near-death experiences. Obviously, I was very interested. And so when Dr. Long asked for a researcher, to volunteer to do the research, I was right there. So that's how it got started. And then the first couple of hundred that I researched were learning what happened and what was going on after death. But after a while, I got that, and I started to see the deeper spiritual information, which is what I had spent my life studying. So it was that's what captured me, and that's what I all this wonderful information that's come back, and I've composed it all together, and so that's what my books are about.
See, I think that's wonderful because you almost like it was a quest for you. You wanted this information and you couldn't get it. But wow, you just like really went out and got the information and beyond.
Yeah, and actually I wonder if I was guided because I really believe that this is what I was supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How did your mother deal with all of this research that you were doing?
My mom was gone by the time.
Oh, okay.
But I will tell you a funny thing. She and my aunt were both atheists, and they didn't think anything happened after death. And so when my mother died, my aunt was at her kitchen sink, and she's washing dishes, and she hears the front door open and somebody walking down the hall, and she thought it was her daughter. And so she turned around, and there was my mom standing there. And it was at the exact moment Mom died.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Yes. So what's fascinating about that, I think my mother was trying to give her a message.
Oh,
yeah, we were wrong.
But did it work? Did it work, or did she just think that she was seeing things?
No, she knew it was my mother, but she didn't accept that it was spiritual.
It's hard for them. It's hard for them because I mean I know people who are atheists, and it's really hard to drop that. They're very scientific in the way they look at things. As well. So
that's a tough one. That's a tough one. So you've met people from all walks of life, and you have studied their stories. I know, I mean, some stories are like pretty horrific. People come back completely changed, like, I do not want to do that again. And then you have other people who have these incredible life-changing experiences and are told incredible things. So let's I mean, your new book is look, we're going to put this up, loaded, I'm sure, with this sort of information. Beyond NDEs, the next step in near-death experience research. So tell us about this.
Well, the main point of the book was to talk about the deeper spiritual information that I mentioned before. And so I talk in the beginning about what happens at death and just the average NDE experience. But then later I go into the deeper, that people who have had death experiences enter into the light and become the light and take part in creation. And and that we are all connected and that there is nothing but oneness. And so that's the main message of my book.
Right. That's beautiful.
I love
so
the
can you
butterfly.
tell us about some of the, oh, sorry, Amelia, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, I love the butterfly, the whole, meaning of transformation, but you're still here, evolving.
I'm a butterfly nut anyway.
Me too. Me too.
Aw.
Well, my niece, my brother passed away when I was 33, so he's been gone 22 years. And every year they go to a memorial where they release butterflies, monarch butterflies, for those who have passed. So yeah, my niece is a butterfly fanatic, and one of my friends actually calls me farfalla, which is Italian for butterfly.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, she goes, you never sit still, you're always like, Michelle just calls me Bubbles. But yeah, Lena's called me farfalla since I was like 23, 24 years old.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, so I do resonate with that butterfly a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. I love them.
So tell us about, some of the, let's start with a really lighthearted stuff. Can you tell us about some of the, the people you've met, some of the experiences and messages that they have returned with?
Where to begin?
Oh, wherever you would like. We've got lots of time. Go crazy.
Well, I think where would I start? Just give me I know I'm live and I'm.
It's okay. Take your time.
Take your time. Absolutely.
Well, I think probably what I want to say is that we are amazing creators and we don't recognize it. We don't see it. And that is one of the big messages in this book as well. Because when people have death experiences, there's 2 or 3 things that connect with that. One is that no 2 death experiences are alike. Well, okay. But what that means is that each one of us takes an active role in creating the death experience that we have, which is great. But what we don't recognize, and we accept that. We say, okay, that's fine. But what we don't recognize is that we do the same thing here in this life, that we are creating this life moment by moment, and we are the creator of it. And so that is so significant for people to understand that life doesn't just happen to you, and you have to pedal as fast as you possibly can to keep you up.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's manifestation. So there are people who train people how to manifest things, and we don't think we're powerful enough to do it. So essentially what you're saying is, oh no, you're already manifesting. You're already creating.
Yes, exactly.
You're attracting what you put out there. You are, right? It's all about us for real. Even though we say it's not all about you. It is.
Yeah. And in the same sense, some people are just natural manifestors, even from young.
Yeah. That's true.
I'm just saying. I didn't know I was doing it, but I mean, yeah.
Right. So that's interesting.
So that's one of the points. The other point is that almost every single NDE that I studied talked about being one with everything. And that was very significant because the oneness actually is one, that there is only one soul, one spirit that is creating all of this, and we are it. We are that soul. We are that creative force. And that we are creating this experience for ourselves to learn and grow and be all that we can be.
So when you say one essence or one spirit, are we talking source, the creator? Are we talking the universe? Is it all one? Has anyone actually come, with all these enlightening messages that seem to come back to the fact that we are one, the law of one? This is what I always try to tell people, the law of one. It would really one energy combined, one consciousness, right? Collective consciousness. But who is, because this is what everybody asks, what is source? Who is the creator?
Well, a source is energy, positive energy.
Right.
and the essence of source, the power within source is love. We feel love as an emotion,
right?
But at the spirit level, source is love, and it is the power that is creating, that is making all that we see. And that's our reality. We are love. We are, because we're source. So we are love. And we're created in love as well.
Right. Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I have a question. And this is a little, because I'm always comic relief, if you remember. Is there any way we can take the negative people and throw them into the center of source?
No,
there's a lot of that right now in the world. That's why I'm curious, because it's just crazy right now.
Yeah. One of the things that we need to understand about that and about how things are in the world right now is this is a little bit mind-boggling for some people. Every single thing about your life right now comes originally from thought. There's nothing that does not come from thought. Every single thing, every decision, every choice, everywhere you've ever been, except maybe when you were a child and you didn't have a choice. But everything does. So what we're seeing is a result of our choices.
Yeah.
And so we need, and nobody can push another person into growth. That's something that is too individual and has to come from themselves. But
absolutely,
if they understand that thought and their choices and their attitude towards life makes a difference, then maybe they can work on that.
I totally, of course, I agree, because like, you are amazing, and I would never dispute anything you said. I'm already in my head going, I have to get the book. You also can't make someone get there, even if you tell them about it. I always say, because I have someone very close to me in my life who's very bitter and hasn't let go of something, and I've always said to her, I can't make you go there. I can only tell you that you sitting in it is going to keep you there.
That's right.
That's all I can tell you. And there's things that I won't mention because they're political, that if we keep putting it out there, it's just going to get worse.
Well, I think there's some things that just drain your energy. There's some things that just insult your spirit, and I think politics is one of them.
It's very much, but I didn't mean that. I don't want to get into that conversation at all. But
you just get into a lot of negative stuff. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lynn, we go through this process of evolution as we become more aware, and the key is the awareness and continuing on our journey, being the best that we can be, and evolving in the process. And not everybody can follow along at the same time, right? Sometimes people come into our lives to help us evolve, all the while not being able to get themselves there.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But one of the things I want to go back, just to one quick message.
Take your time. Doesn't have to be quick.
It's your show.
That's right.
It's your show.
That's right.
Yeah. One of the things that I did want to mention about changing our minds and things like that is that some people feel threatened by changing their mind. That means that they were wrong. And that's not the way it is, but they see that. And that's, once a person makes a decision or chooses to accept something and accepts it within themselves, no matter what it is, it becomes a part of them. And when it's threatened, they become threatened. And so, it's really, some people find it very hard to make different choices, and so, or to change their mind, because it means that they're going to have to change something within themselves.
Change can be very scary.
And especially, I feel like, if I'm wrong, please tell me, the way you're raised sometimes can affect how
So
feel about
conditioning.
change. Conditioning, yes.
Right.
Yeah. And the same with what Michelle was talking about, that we do have souls that are just starting out and evolving and don't even know what it means to be human,
Right.
and so, and they have to learn and grow, and it's our job to guide them.
I call them newbies. And I always said to Michelle, when we were together, I said, you can spot them a mile away because there is no empathy or compassion in them. They have to, how many times I said, oh, that's a newbie. Or I've said it to my brother, you're a newbie. He doesn't know what I'm saying. If you're watching now, you do. But yeah, I feel like the more compassionate a person is, the more less opinionated kind of stands back and observes that they've done this a few times before.
Yes, that's right. And so we have to understand that not everybody's where we are, and that doesn't devaluate their soul, because their soul, it's
their experience. It's what they're meant to be doing. We all have paths to follow, I believe. And sometimes it's, you've got the people who like to sightsee along the way. You have those who just want to get to it, get business taken care of. But then you got those that like to straggle along. And then it's almost like you forget what you're supposed to do.
I think she's talking about me.
No. No.
I don't want to come back. I feel like I've been here 100 million times. I always say I never want to go to high school again.
Yeah. But let me ask you this, Lynn. There's a lot of talk about what they would call step-ins. So souls that come along and they'll just step in to someone else. I mean, you read about it more so when people who are in comas, and then they, you hear these stories where people come back and they're just like, they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And there was nothing about that individual that is familiar to the family. But there's also stories out there of people, I say it's got to be a form of possession, but it's almost like people just willingly step out and you have someone else who steps in. So it's just
there's a few of, I know several people that kind of story has happened to. I don't know what to make of that, because a part of me can understand it and say, yeah, okay, that's what happened. And another part of me says, okay, was it really a step in or a walk in? Or was it just that was their perception? I have one woman, her name is Mila Sai, and she changed her name. She had a completely different name, and when she came back, she saw when she was dead, and on the other side, she watched all the energy come out of her body and new energy come in, and she thought she became another person. So for her, she's a walk-in. So she changed her name. There's another one on Facebook. I can't remember. Aria, I think is her name, and she's also feels that she's a walk-in as well. So, so I know there are people out there that feel this, but I never, in all the 2,500 cases that I worked with, I worked with one. So I don't know what to say.
This is the first time I've heard of that. That is so interesting. Hi, Wayne.
This is a crazy story.
Yeah. Wayne says, I think that happened to me when I was 4 years of age. It was a very odd and weird day.
And what the story is, because he's not on here to say it himself, is that when he, on his 4-year birthday party, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, he basically, it's like he had this epiphany, like something snapped him and he went, oh my God, I'm in a child's body. And he threw up, and he was just like he was sick. Everybody had to leave. Like he was distraught.
Wow.
His parents were like,
but he still had that dark NDE.
But that was later on in life.
No, but how do we know it didn't stay there and then came out?
Because the NDE was years after. Sorry, Lynn.
No, sorry.
Yeah, well, if that's an adult soul that's gone into a child's body, which is what it sounds like.
Yes. So what happened to his child soul?
So how did he live with that?
Obviously, like he has the recollection of what had happened. But he's just like, he goes, I realize, oh my God, I'm in the child's soul. I'm, like, so what happened to the child's soul? Because I mean, he has this recollection, and this is obviously the soul that has stayed.
And I don't have an explanation for that, except because as I say, with 2,500 cases, I never ran across it. So,
his NDE was later in life was also equally as ridiculous, like on a river on a raft with a hooded figure, and I mean, I know it's a story. Let me tell you, he has said it. And I'm just like, makes me tend to wonder, because knowing him the way I know him, was an exceptionally kind and good person.
I was just
total service to others person. I'm like,
gentle.
How did you end up there?
Yeah, he's such a gentle
all
giant.
These other people on this like raft just going down,
and so this new personality that came into Wayne, how did it continue, or did he reclaim his child, or did it just this older soul just continued?
I think it continued.
There is one thing: all souls are the same age. There is no child souls. I mean, maybe childs are, because souls are souls are souls. They're all the same age.
Right. So that's interesting. No child souls. Always. That's it. Oh, this is what he said.
I looked at my hands and looked at everyone and thought, I'm a child. Oh my God, I'm a child again.
Yeah, he said that story. It was crazy.
Could they have made a mistake on whose soul was supposed to go where?
That sounds fascinating and certainly something to look into or to explore, but I personally can't make a statement.
Right.
I have a friend who passed away. Oh,
go ahead. Where to go? Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, yes, Diane.
Yeah.
I have a friend that passed away and knows he is a soul walk-in. His wife divorced him after.
Yeah.
He's changed contracts he was told. That's what I'm wondering. Is that what happened with Wayne? Like maybe in a lifetime that he was still an adult in that life, and he didn't catch up with the soul moving into the child.
The first soul said, not doing it.
Yeah.
And then as you've said, what happened to the child soul? So with the child soul, because we are all one soul.
Yeah.
So it's confusing, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he said he just wanted to press the reset button.
It wasn't fascinating. Wayne is a gentle giant, so it's shocking to hear when he speaks of his near-death experience. It's just shocking.
And what you just mentioned about the divorce, that's very common. People who come back from a death experience usually do wind up, I would say at least half wind up divorced. Unfortunately.
She says she observed the changes in him as his hair, face, body, everything changed about him.
Yeah.
So
you're kidding. Physically, all is wow.
Yeah.
Yes. So do good souls who have NDEs, because you hear about people who are just, I call them cranky, just cranky in life, and they have near-death experiences, and then they get this shocking thing that jolts them into coming back, and their lives change. They're super kind. But does it ever happen to good people who go over and have the opposite of what they would expect for themselves?
Are you meaning the cranky people?
No. Well, no, we know cranky people, they're the ones that have an NDE and come back completely, because something has happened to say like, oh my God, I don't ever want to see that again. But
Oh
then,
no, they come back and they're different people and they care and they
yes,
give.
yes.
Yeah, they're more caring and they're more willing to work for others and help and giving and
Is it because of the love that they're shown when they get there, do
Oh,
you think? Or do you think you have those who come back and describe really frightening things and it changes them?
well, I'm telling you that I don't. I have read quite a number of death experiences where people have had hellish kind of negative experience,
Okay.
but
Okay.
but the ones see people who have had negative experience don't usually report them. Not certainly on NDERF. They
Wow.
might report them on a radio show or something like that.
Right.
But they don't report them on the kind of research that I do.
That's interesting.
It's like
So
ET.
the ones that did report
Mm.
were they were ones that were in the hellish experience and were taken out of that, and it was through different ways, whether they prayed or whether they realized themselves that they didn't have to stay or different things like that. So anyway, when they get to the positive and they're all this light and love and everything, they'll say what happened. And they're told that that was their creation. They did that themselves because that's what they thought they should.
Wow.
So
Wow.
So my statement to what you're just saying is that those people have had negative experiences, are giving the negative experiences to themselves because we create our own death experiences.
Interesting. Okay, it comes
Wow.
back to manifestation. Hi, Nicole.
Yeah. Hi, Nicole. My ex had an NDE and came back the same. A number of years later, he changed the last of the years of his life. He died very early in life.
And one of the things that does make a big difference in how much of a change a person is whether they've had a life review or not. If they've had a life review, they come back quite changed and more aware of the effect of their behavior on others and that kind of thing. But people who don't have a life review will still be changed, but not to the same degree because they haven't had that correlation of how their behavior affects others and it goes down like an echo,
Do you think that having the NDEs is the universe or the creator's way, source's way of saying, okay, we need to switch gears. You're not listening. We have to bring you into the office. We're going to have to straighten you out a little bit. Is it something like that? Do you think is this why
Actually,
it's
I've
happening?
thought the same thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. I'm not alone.
No, and more and more spirit, and more and more people are having STEs too, spiritually transformative experiences, and more people are having experiences where they join their loved ones in the death experience when the person dies. I mean, and this never happened before, and it's happening because the world is changing, and I think within 20 years we're going to see a whole different world. I think it's going to be a much better world.
I hope so. One of my NDEs, I had my mother in there. My mother had passed when I was 27, and when I had this NDE, I was 41, and she was in the last one, sending me back because I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay.
Yeah,
but I had one after the other.
Yeah, and that's what does happen. People do not want to come back. With all that love and the light, and all the knowledge, and everything is so much brighter and clearer, and everything is more real. So here is like coming to a cartoon world, or a movie or something.
It really is. Wayne says, I worked with a man who was a heavy drinker. He had an NDE in a car wreck. He was brought back and never spoke of it. He changed his whole life, told me that he saw things he never wanted to see again. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. This print is really small today. My life beliefs changed after being transported, this is Jen talking, to a white room and shown everything I do not remember what the full message was yet. I hit hard. I may have been an NDE or an OBE. Yeah, either or.
Hmm. Well, I think OBEs, I mean, there are people who can do those at will. So having an out-of-body experiences, are they receiving the same type of messages, let's say, as someone who's having a near-death experience, for example?
No, not usually.
Okay.
People who have the difference between an OBE and an NDE, for example, when it's an accident or, not when they're just sitting at the table and
Right.
all of a sudden, but when there's something precipitating it. An OBE stays at this level. They stay at the earth level, and they may go around and look at, wander around and see things, or they may stay where they are and watch what's happening below them and that kind of thing. And that's OBE. They don't go in through a tunnel or to the light or any of that.
Right.
The ones who do go to the light, and that's a death experience.
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. No, I wanted to have you clarify because there are a lot of stories out there where people claim to they do have OBEs, but they do claim to meet people within the travels and come back, or souls within their travels with messages, extraterrestrial, interterrestrial, dimensional, things like that.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, they do. But the soul that they meet, at least during an operation or during an accident, would be with them here.
Right.
So that the soul comes down here to be with them.
Right.
However, there are people, and I make a difference between OBEs and astral projection. I mean, it's probably the same thing, but I make the difference because OBEs, I think, are spontaneous and quick. I think that astral projection, people have taught themselves to leave their body. They go quite regularly, and those people do have near-death experiences and do learn these messages because they go on a regular basis. So it just depends on how often, I guess.
Right.
Wow.
And the circumstances.
Of course. It's a lot to take in. I mean, it's a lot to take in. The light. Not everybody sees the light.
No.
So again, is that, a manifestation of, are we conditioned to see the light? Therefore, we go looking for the light. Therefore, or should it just appear? Because some people apparently don't see it and allegedly kind of get stuck here and don't know what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. That's true that not everybody sees the light.
Yeah.
And I have asked myself the same question, Michelle. And I think that the soul's advancement, how advanced the soul is, and at what level when it dies, that's the only explanation that I have. But there may be other explanations.
Right. Diane.
Hi, Diane. Diane says she passed away at 3 and had many astral travel experiences since.
Yes, that's right. That is very common for people once they've had a near-death experience, for them to be able to leave their bodies and have astral projection or OBs. Yeah, that does happen. They find themselves back where they were.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I wonder, do they feel tired from all the traveling?
I travel when I sleep. I'm exhausted all the time.
That's what I mean. Like, are you lacking energy? Because there's some days where I've slept forever, and I'm like, what is going on?
I do. I know I travel, and I do. I'm tired a lot, no matter how much sleep.
I see that we're getting into. I know it. I know OBEs and NDEs, and related to the death experience, but I don't know them just as a OBE. You know, I'm not. That's not my expertise.
Right. Here's another example of.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm like, when I get the words clear, I'm gonna. Jen says, my OBEs have been by accident since I have been a child. This happened after being rushed to hospital days before near death, 259 heartbeats a minute. The people on dance floor stopped moving. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the learning. I always ask people when they tell me they've had a death experience or a near-death NDE, what did you learn? What was the messages, you know?
Oh, I know what I learned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And what are the most compelling messages that you've gotten? Let's start with compelling, the ones that stand out the most to you.
Well, as I've said, the ones that stand out the most to me is the fact, like some of the people enter into the light and actually become the light. The personality that they are at that point in time just melts away, and they are the light. And they create with the light. And that to me is a biggie. Like when I read those, I was,
That's huge. Yeah, it must be a wonderful experience.
And to know that, yes, they were in ecstasy, and they were thrilled that they were also creating with the source, and that they were the source creating.
Yeah, because it's positive, it's love, so why wouldn't you like it?
Yeah.
You know, it begs question to the film Flatliners, where they purposely flatlined so they could go back and see their life, and it changed their life when they came back in a negative way. Have you come across anyone who has purposefully had an NDE?
No.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
I say it's been 60 years in this field. You know, you think you would come across wacky stuff. Like, what? Have you come across wacky stuff? Like, what?
Yeah.
Are they all this cut and dry for the most part?
Oh, you know what? I do, but I have read some pretty strange ones, but I'm not retaining them. I'm, you know, because they're so, like, it's only one.
Right.
Yes.
And so, and also because they're not teaching me anything.
Understandable.
Right.
And so my big thing is, I think I've mentioned this before, but when I was a child, I was assessed as mentally slow. Right. And so then when I was 31, I found out I was above average intelligence. And so after that, you couldn't fill me with enough information. I just gobbled learning. And that's the same. So one of the big things for me is the learning.
Right.
As well as the spiritual.
Right. Oh, it definitely was your path. That's for sure. I think this is a great question.
Lady Spider Witch, hello. She asks, are there people who are more likely to have NDEs and OBEs than others?
That is a really good question. I think yes. I think people who are spiritually aware or seekers, those who are open themselves to spirituality, I think they do. However, I contradict myself because many atheists also have death experiences. So,
for me, you know, to have people, atheists who've had these experiences, again, I think it goes back to, okay, you know, we're going to show you that there's more, or we're hauling you into the office, you're on the wrong path, and it's strange because we're told, no, you have free will, but maybe internally they're just fighting with it somehow. And, mind you, I won't say that there's some out who don't go out there and get into a car accident,
Yeah.
have a near-death experience
Yeah.
quite by chance,
Yeah.
and here it is. But if you're conditioning and being a staunch believer in there's nothing, I mean, what would it take to change somebody like that?
Yeah.
Because even your aunt seeing your mother right there, you
Yeah.
hear the door open, you hear her come in, she's standing right there, and it's like, yeah. It's just like
Yeah, I
a
think
non-event.
yeah, I know. It's pretty stubborn.
Oh, yes.
Brain surgeons are stubborn. And there's been a couple that have come forward after. One was a bike accident. He flipped, and even with the helmet, still had a brain injury and had a near-death experience. And he was never one to believe in God. I just want to say brain surgeons are phenomenal, really high IQ, but you're all narcissistic. It's just, you have to be that way to do what they do. They can only focus on what's in front of them. They can't, stray sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's really, you'd be hard pressed to find one that says, yeah, go pray this, But this was incredible because he was such a tough person, like he thought he was God, and he said it. He said, I came back so different. It humbled me. There is heaven, and yes, pray when your family's in the hospitals. I'm like, wow, okay. He perceived it as heaven. I think perception's a big one too.
Yeah, and I had a landlord, and he was one of those tough, hard kind of people, and rigid in his thinking, and and then his story is amazing because his wife had gone to visit her daughter for the weekend. It was a long weekend, and he stayed at home. And she had no sooner left, and he went into the bathroom to use the John, and he fell into the tub with a stroke. And so he pulled himself out of the tub, and he had to drag himself, no phone by him, he had to drag himself across the whole place to get to the phone, which was on the other side of like in the kitchen, and he's way over.
Wow.
So he had to drag. It took him 80 hours, 80. And then when he got to the phone, he phones his best friend. He doesn't phone for 191.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
Anyway, but he came back a completely different person, and very warm and caring and giving. And
wow. Was he constantly fading in and out through those 80 hours?
I think
imagine. So. It must have felt like a year to him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, I think probably that's why it took 80 hours, because he would pass out and, have a death experience and come back. And
wow.
That's terrifying, really.
It is.
It really is.
Especially knowing you're alone. But when you wake up and knowing you're alone and you still haven't got help, something kept him alive.
No, because he knew he was going to survive. People who have had death experiences and come back know they're not going to die. They know that, okay, I've come back because I'm going to live. So I've never known a death experience, a person who's been sent back or come back on their own, that has been sent right back again. No, never.
Wow. Nice. That's so tough. It's strange because I had an NDE when I was younger, and then when I had this surgery at 41, I had a few, one after the other. I literally flatlined. I remember going into surgery and my father in tears because I'm allergic to so many opiates and it was, in fact, every single NDE was because of negligence. Not that they didn't know I was allergic. In fact, the last one was 2 medications put together, both allergic to. But anyways, that's a whole other story. That's a show for the legal department. But I remember going in and saying to my dad, it's Mom's birthday. Nothing's going to happen to me. Like, I was positive that even if something happened, they'll get me, I'm right there. I'm not gonna die. And he was just sobbing.
Yeah.
Because the last time I went in, right?
Well, because it was, you had what, 4?
At that point, after that day, it was 4. Yeah. It was crazy, but I had,
maybe it was a premonition for him. Maybe he knew.
I don't know, but it's possible. I mean, he was very, I always say when you're really artistic, you've got that empathy and that intuition, just like everybody has it, but some people it's just stronger for them to feel something. And I was Daddy's little girl, so I think that had to do with it too. But I knew I was coming out of there. I'm like, nothing's going to happen to me. I wasn't even nervous to go in. I'm like, nothing's going to happen. I'm going to be in pain when I come out, but that's it.
But one of the other things that happens with people who have had death experiences is that they have some kind of psychic ability.
I had that before.
Yeah. And sometimes it's quite strong, and they know what other people are thinking or feeling, picking up feelings. And it's very difficult for them to go grocery shopping. So they go when nobody's around.
Everything feels loud.
You just read me. Honestly, I was born like my gift is naturally on my mother's side, but I do feel that awakening thing, that I was getting it's time for you to work. Yeah. You need to help people. And, because I put it aside because it upset my husband. So I put it aside for a long time. Like I literally said, I won't delve into this. I won't, because I had a priest at my house. I had incidents when I moved in here. We built this house. So I thought, it can't be haunted. Right. I didn't know. We didn't have the internet then. It was a different time. So anyways, long story short, I promised I wouldn't. When this happened, it was like floodgates. And I could not hold back. And there were people in my life that didn't even know I had abilities until I was in my 40s. And I was telling Michelle when I met her, I lost a lot of friends.
Yeah. And some people don't like having these abilities, and they don't tell people they have them because, it makes them different, or it makes them strange, or somebody's going to, or that people will abuse it. They want you to read for them or that thing.
Yeah. It doesn't help that my mother told me never to tell anyone because they'll think I was crazy.
That was a sign of the times, though.
It was.
I grew up in the same way.
Yeah. My great-grandmother in Italy, it would have been the 1800s, late 1800s. She was shunned by the church because she used herbs to heal. So they saw her as a witch. They labeled her a strega. So my mother had that in her head, and it's like this dark cloud, and you can't do this. And, all these years later, we're not dealing with this right now. It's 100 years. You're not going to bring it back. It's like, hello. But she passed away before this happened. But when she passed away, I was expecting my first child, whom I lost months later. And I'm convinced it was my daughter, and she was just there the year before, so that I could have the opportunity to share that moment of telling my mother I was expecting, because there's 41 years between us. And she used to say, I'll be lucky if I live long enough to see her get married. So I feel like something intervened, and then said, okay, it's not time for her yet. So she has to go and come back.
Yeah.
So
41 years is a long time.
Yeah, but there's so many things. Do you find with people who have experienced NDEs that they have synchronicities with other family members that have passed, or?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because you've got simpatico, you've got somebody there that understands you and, relate to. And that's why NDE groups, there's tons of NDE groups online and,
wow.
In different places. And IANDS, IANDS, that's because people are looking for other people that they can relate to. And NDERF still has their chat line, by the way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So there are people who can really understand where you've been and what you're talking about.
I wish I had it then. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that people say repeatedly over and over and over again is that there's no words to describe. They can't explain. But when you're in a group of other people, then they do know what you're talking about.
Do you find that their memories come in bits and pieces with their NDEs, or do they recall everything right away, or is it like years later they'll get flashbacks and see something
I think
else?
I've heard all of those.
Okay.
Yeah. Some people remember the whole thing the minute they come back, and other people, it's pieces here and there. And some people don't remember for years. And then all of a sudden, oh, I had that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, if you can get on the right path, it sounds like a frightening experience, that you have to die to have this encounter, this experience, but you come back and it can change your life. It's just sad that you have to die to do it.
It can hurt it too.
Yeah, because you see death as being a bad thing, and I see death as a beautiful thing.
Right. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I lost a daughter. She died of cancer. She had MS, so it was complicated, but she died of cancer. It was 8 years ago, so I'm sort of okay with that. But my understanding of near death helped me, because I knew that she would be enveloped in love and even those who go to a negative experience, it's temporary. They don't stay there, because they're guides, and they're the source, and they've got a multitude of people trying to bring them up.
I agree. I think it's, again, the conditioning that gives people the fear, because so many, through religion, you are conditioned to think, well, if you do things, example, covet thy neighbor's wife, you're on a hell. People are going to think, I think I'll take my chances and kind of remain here, or I don't want to do that. I don't fear death. I've never feared death, even from the time I was a child, because I didn't have that type of conditioning. I think I'd be more concerned about the method of my demise more than my demise itself. Right. So, and I've always been surrounded, well, I deal in malevolent things, 2 decades of working with families who have, had dark energies around them. But I have felt that, but I've always been surrounded with love. And my family and my ancestors, they've always been there. And I think that if we open yourself up to that, you can have that all the time.
Yes, that's absolutely true. You can. And it's getting back to understanding that. And I really think that NDEs are changing the world. They really are. And maybe add to that the ones who have had STEs, and the ones who have had, NDEs that didn't die, didn't die. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. I need that book.
Yeah.
I need that book, because I could ask you questions for hours. So I need that book.
I think it's, we've had people on the show throughout the years who have had incredible experiences, who have come back so profoundly changed that they have altered their entire path moving forward. And it has touched them literally to the core, that when they speak of it, it still brings tears to their eyes, even if it's 20 years later.
That's right. Yeah.
So how much?
So go ahead.
I'll say how much love, stays with you.
Yeah.
To have that sort of impact.
Yeah, and yeah, it does stay with them. They remember their death experiences, and I'm sure that Amelia, you would know this, that they remember their death experiences better than they remember normal everyday experiences that they've had. You know, I mean, it never ever lives them. I had an STE that I talk about in the beginning of the book, and I remember that as if it was right here now.
Okay, can you share that with us?
Oh, okay, sure.
Just for people who don't know what it is. You know how many people
Yeah.
may have had one of these STEs and they have no clue what it is, what to look for. What is
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
Well, it's a spiritual experience that is so deep and meaningful that it changes you, and it changes the way you see things. And that's what it's called STE, spiritually transformative experiences. So it transforms the person.
Right.
So it's not a death experience, but it's
Right.
and so mine was in three parts.
Okay.
I had the first part was actually I didn't even think about spirituality. I was washing dishes and there was a window above the sink and the backyard, and there's an apple tree. So I'm looking at the apple tree without even paying attention.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden I became the apple tree. I was that apple tree. And the
Mhm.
apple tree was me. There was literally no separation. And I was the bird in the tree. I was the bug the bird was going to eat. I was everything, everything, and every kind of animal that I thought of, I was it.
Mhm.
And so that didn't last very long. That's
Mhm.
about it. That all it was only maybe 30 seconds or less,
Right.
because time at that level doesn't exist.
Right.
And so I don't know how long. I just know that it was wonderful. I thought, oh, cool. But I didn't know what cosmic consciousness. I'd never read that book or anything. So apparently that's what I had, was a cosmic conscious experience. The second experience was days later, and this time, and all of these experiences happened when the house was quiet and the kids were either at school or down for naps and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm washing the fingerprints off the hall walls again in the afternoon, and all of a sudden I'm not seeing the wall anymore. I'm seeing an atom with the nuclei and the electrons going around. And then I'm seeing our solar system with the sun and the planets going around. And then that expanded to a galaxy with, the center and everything going around. And it just kept expanding from micro to macro universe. And during all of that, I was getting messages, and the messages were that this didn't just happen, that there was order and planning behind all of this. And I felt the order. I felt the planning. I felt that an intelligence behind all of it. And then I got a message saying, your being is intricately connected with the operation of the universe. And that scared me. I didn't want, that
It sounds
scared
like a lot of responsibility.
I was going to say,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't want to know that. So
Right.
and that was the end of the experience. It stopped then.
Oh, wow.
And then a few days later, I'm in my living room and picking up toys in the afternoon. The house is quiet. And all of a sudden there was a presence in the room with me. And I could feel more love coming. Like I felt like I had this huge blanket of love wrapped around me and just pouring inside of me. And I could feel myself connected to this whatever, this entity that I couldn't see. All I could see was my living room, but something was there.
Right.
And I could feel myself somehow connected to it. And then I got words, and very clear words. And the words said, this is where you came from, and this is where you will return. And I knew that message wasn't just mine, it was everybody's. That this is that love is where we go. That's home.
Mm-hmm. That's
Beautiful.
lovely. No, that's lovely. When my uncle passed, he believed very strongly, much in like a lot of the things that you're saying. You know, that he would get messages, and he ended up with cancer, so he had more time to think about it. He's also very gifted. I mean, his entire life he used those abilities, and in communicating with him after he passed, I said, "Is it everything that you thought it would be?" He said, "It's more."
Mhm.
He goes, "It's soul energy." He goes, "There's so many lights." He said, "It's beautiful."
Mm.
And I found a lot of peace in that, because
Yes.
I know in the end days, even though he knew all of this, and I think most people who have any sort of ability will sense that connection to
Mhm.
something greater. And he knew it his whole life, but upon knowing he was going to pass,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know, because he developed dementia probably in the last month of his life.
No.
But up until that point, he
Mhm.
always knew it,
Mhm.
and yet he feared it in the end.
Oh, oh,
He had a fear of passing. He didn't want to pass,
right.
you
I
know.
wonder if that was his dementia, though.
Well, no,
Well,
he came to me when he was still coherent, and
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
and he asked to communicate with my grandfather.
Mm,
He could do this himself. He goes, "I want to talk to my father. I want to see
yeah,
what I can do to save my life." I was like,
yeah, yeah.
"I'm stepping out." So-
Oh, wow.
sorry, Lynn, go
I
ahead.
think that there's an inborn fear of death. I think we're
Right.
born fearful of death.
Mm,
I mean, some people do want to die, but most people
it's
and most
instinct.
animals. I mean, I think all life strives to be alive.
Right. Right.
That will make sense, right?
Yeah.
I
Well,
would
you
agree. It's instinctive. Sorry, Amelia.
no, don't apologize. Oh my gosh, no. I was just going to say we always I do get this question a lot. I'm sure Michelle has, and I'm positive you have, but for everyone, because I've just come to the realization why we can speak with our loved ones who have passed when we know that they more than likely came back as, reincarnate, or
Mm,
well, I hope so, if that's what they want. But people always say to me, well, if they're it reincarnated, how can they continue to talk? But it makes so much sense the way you explain it, that we're all connected to source, so they can still communicate.
yeah,
That soul can still communicate with you.
exactly.
Like
Yep.
literally 55 years old, just figured that out.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to dead people since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and I think
actually,
it's conditioning too for me, because growing
yeah,
up Roman Catholic, it was heaven or hell. There was no in between.
yeah,
There is, but I
yeah,
think we're living it.
yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
So if being here is a manifestation of, it is what we make it.
Mhm.
I don't know. Is this like a schoolroom? Are we going through a certain type of schooling, education? We're here to learn. Is this, and we get hauled into the principal's office every now and then just to get us on the right path with through NDEs.
Hmm.
You
Well,
know,
I actually think that that as we've talked about these new souls, and I
Mhm.
think that the new souls learn and grow and learn and grow and learn and grow through all of the different lifetimes. And by the time you get to our state where we're very
Mhm.
and probably your audience as well, where we're very aware of spirituality and seekers, that we've had thousands of lifetimes. And
Mhm.
so, yes, it is a learning experience, but really what it is growing back to the source. And that's the bottom line, is getting back to where we were and
Mhm.
get home. But it takes the steps, and the same with karma. People talk about karma as if it's a
Let's
punishment.
let's talk about karma.
It's not
Yeah,
always bad.
Karma is nothing more than moving on to a next grade and the next grade. And just like at school, you finish this, you move on to the next. And if you didn't quite learn all that you're supposed to learn in that grade, then you just, keep learning. There is no punishment. There is no negative about karma.
And that's scary to think, because now you're going to have people running out there, running amok, thinking, I'm free. I don't even have to worry about it coming back. So the law of karma doesn't exist.
You don't have to worry about coming back. Oh, yeah. They have to learn and grow and get to the point where they can, they can go to the light and they're finished.
Make the right choices. I don't believe in luck. And I think I get a lot of slack from that. I believe in there's good luck, there's bad luck. I believe in you make a choice and you end up where you end up.
Actually.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting sick and tired of people saying you're lucky because of this or you're unlucky because of that. It's got nothing to do with luck.
And another thing that bothers me is when people say everything's for a reason. No, not everything is for a reason. There are accidents and things happen that weren't supposed to happen because
I'm guilty of that. Everything happens for a reason. There's got to be a reason.
Why bother trying then? If everything is supposed to be and it's happening for a reason, oh, well, then why bother? I mean,
we could have projected that or we could have put that in place, whatever that reason may be, part of our journey. No?
Now we're talking soul contracts. It's a little different from an NDE.
We are sort of like, we've decided that we are souls that want to have a separate existence. Okay, we're still souls. That didn't change, and inside of us is that soul. Soul is us inside. Soul is what goes to work and makes meals and
the driver.
It is, and it's what keeps your heart going and your blood pumping and all of that kind of stuff. All those automatic stuff that happen inside. So soul is what we are. And I'm sure you've heard that many times before. So we make this decision to be a soul, but then we're put into this experience of separation with all the laws of the physics laws and the laws of life, and go for it. Do whatever you want. And it's up to us. And that's why I keep going back to consciousness and thought, because thought is so important.
And intention.
Yeah, intention.
As well. We're going to hold for one quick moment, and we are going to do a sponsor and station ID. Amelia, take it away.
And Amelia's got to find her mouse. Got to find my mouse. I've got to. I have a question ready to go for when we come back. I'm just trying to move my mail to come back in because I have everything there.
I have another book that I wanted to mention. It's for preteens, and it's called Warple, and it's to help them make better choices in their lives.
I love that.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to bring that up in a moment while, okay, why is that one coming up? Hold on. Go find Warble.
It's okay. I will move forward. Yeah. You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 107.7 FM, as well as on the Gulf Coast on 105.3 FM. We are live on the Roku channel. Hello and welcome, Roku. But if you want to join chat, you're going to have to go into either the Facebook page or the YouTube page to hit chat. You can still watch us on Roku at the same time. Don't give up Roku. Thank you. And we're archived as well there. Our guest tonight is the beautiful and the amazing Lynn K Russell with her new book Beyond NDEs, the next step in near-death experiences research. And we're discussing that tonight, and it could go on and on. I mean, we could have you back several times to do this, but definitely, if you're just tuning in, stream our archives on any platform that you normally use and start at the beginning because you don't want to miss a thing. Search United Public Radio and then The Outer Realm to find us. Remember to click like and subscribe. Add us to your playlist so you never miss an episode. And kindly don't keep it a secret. Share it with your friends and family. Tonight, we're giving out, of course, with every show, a big thank you to all of our sponsors, starting with Folgers Coffee. Thank you for your continued support. Day one, still there. We love you. Thank you for sponsoring the show. A huge thank you for our banner and promo media, courtesy of Steve McGinnis. He is a horror illustrator. I can't even say that. Horror. Okay, Amelia, good. Anyway, fantastic artist. Steve creates commission pieces as well. So look him up on Facebook. And thank you so much, Steve. The stuff, oh my gosh, the work that he does is so amazing. Michelle shared one of his pieces on our group page. You have to go there to check it out. It's phenomenal. Our intro and outro is courtesy of Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, aka Justin Snicker, award-winning composer, vocalist, and musician. You can find his music on Amazon, and Bandcamp. Stream on any platform. Find Dr. Snick on Facebook and Instagram and use him, search him in your stories. He's also listed there. Thank you, Justin. Lastly, a big reminder, if you're watching us on our Facebook page or if you're watching us on YouTube right now, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to share.
Okay. Now, Lynn, this is Warpole. Tell us all about it. This is your website. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Warpole is a book that I've written for preteens, and the hero or the main person is named Cam, and he, through a homework assignment, winds up in this world that is called Warpole, and it's a fantasy world, and everybody there is cartoon. And he's the only person. So, and he learns these creatures and characters that are in Warpole are warm, fuzzy, lovely, loving little things. And they teach him life lessons. And so he learns that we're all connected, that all life is connected. He learns that anger bounces back at you. So be careful when you're angry. Mm-hmm. He learns that he learns that caring and giving are contagious, and they're a beautiful thing to go, share. Mm-hmm. And he also learns that love is the biggest and greatest power there is in the universe.
I think that's fantastic. I'm going to give your information to one of our other shows who just interviews authors, and this might be right in line with Vicky. So she's
absolutely
with Vicky. Yeah, she does a great show. I like that you've incorporated that. You've taken your research and the spirituality side of things, and you found a way to educate children with it.
And it's the story is full of adventure and danger and, and fun and silliness. And so it's,
I love that. I love that.
Me too.
I know. It's great. It's great. And tonight, this is the book that we are discussing.
Which I have a question about. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, give the title. I'll wait.
Beyond NDEs, the next step in near-death experience research. And I like to just, to show it, but I also like to say it because we have a lot I mean, a lot of audio listeners as well. So this just keeps them in mind. This is why we like to read out comments and so on. So, guys, if you have questions or comments, please feel free to put them up there. So, Amelia, take it away.
I was just going to ask you, we were talking about positivity with source, and I was saying how we should throw negative people into source and kind of wash them. What happens to people who have sold their soul if we're one?
Sold their souls?
Yeah. Oh, well, this is what people...
You know what? It's not possible.
Make pacts, I guess.
That is not... And the reason why it's not possible is because we are source. How can you sell source?
That's what I'm wondering, because you often hear that with, like Michelle was saying, where you make pacts with the dark side, which we have seen.
Well, and people do. But that's an illusion. And that's as much an illusion as this experience is, this life.
So they hold themselves back in doing that. Again, you're saying...
Well, maybe it's just part of their learning too. Maybe they need to learn that lesson.
So what would be the difference then between, let's say, source and creator?
It isn't. There isn't. Just different words. Okay. The source is creator. The source is God and Allah and whatever, and Brahman and, whatever word you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is just questions that we see a lot that come up in the chat room. Who's a creator? Who's a creator? What's source? What's the difference?
Yeah, there's no difference. Source is creator. And I use source and many others, and sometimes I use positive energy force. Because the other words have got too much connotation, too much human connotation. So, I use something that's very generic.
So I will pose this question because, again, we have a lot of people come on, talk about their experiences, not just with NDEs, but with many things. And it's our job to research a lot of stuff when people come on. What do you make of people who say they've had experiences during an NDE? Some people say, well, I went into a right room. Now that seems to be pretty standard. However, some people say, well, I encountered extraterrestrial beings or I encountered angelic beings. Some people say, no, I was just pretty much alone. So how often does that happen? And what's that all about?
Well, each one has their own experience.
Okay.
So, and some people see sparks of light and look at them, or become aware that they are also light. So it's just a part of that learning, but it's also the creation. You know what? I think that in reality, there is no light. I know I'm making a big statement there.
Ooh. You live dangerously, Lynn. Go for it.
Well, the reason why is we see light when we go there, and that's beautiful, and it is an energy, and that's also true. So light is energy is light. So but why I say that is because we are inside that light right now. We never left. We are the light. We are the source, and because of that, what we're really seeing is our production of how we envision source.
It's almost like you're suggesting that maybe this is a simulation that we've created for ourselves. Are we having a Star Trek moment?
Yeah, not exactly, because we are so connected and attached to this life and being human that we can't imagine that we are that source. It's very, very, like, we can talk about it, but it's like, oh, that lady's off.
Right. You're in good company.
So we really have, and that's why we have tunnels, and that's why we see buildings, and that's why we create gardens and mountains and whatever, because we can, and we see ourselves with bodies, because we cannot see ourselves as not human. It's very, very hard until we have been there for a little while. Now, some people already know that. They're at that level of development that they already know that. So they don't have to go to the garden or to anything. They can go directly into the light, be the light, and experience being the light.
Right. Right. Okay, so Matrix.
Yeah.
Discussing it, we're creating all of this around us. So I think maybe that's why we gravitate to, for me, it's always been mountains. I love to be within the mountains and the Alps, and I have other friends who it's all about, being near water.
Yeah.
So
there's water in the Alps.
So
yes, there certainly is.
There's
But forests,
Yep.
like there's just certain places that we gravitate to, maybe for grounding or for solitude, to find peace. What are we looking for? Because some of the same people, when they have their experiences, that's is what they're seeing.
Seeing what?
Well, the places that they gravitate to here, let's say a forest or the mountains or being near the lake or
I've had flowers.
Because they are still connected to being physical.
Right. So they can't let it go.
So they develop a physical world. And like I've said, we are the creators.
It's so hard because of conditioning, because I'm not a religious person, but I am a spiritual person. I am very aware of something much greater. And yet it's still difficult, even though I know, because I can feel, something much greater around. It's still very difficult to think to myself that I've created all of this.
Yeah.
Collectively.
Actually, how I see it is consciousness. I see that actually everything is consciousness.
Right.
Okay. How do we explain then remote viewing, where a remote viewer can take themselves and put themselves, I guess that's OBE then?
Well, it might be, but I think psychic ability is perfectly normal. I think that everybody should probably have the ability.
Yeah.
Because we are all one. And it makes perfect sense that I'd be able to read somebody else or to pick up beyond this existence and pick up, messages from beyond. It makes perfect sense because we're all one. We never left the oneness.
I understand that, but in the same respect, we're not all brain surgeons, right? And we're still collectively one. Yeah. I feel like some people are just, we all brush our teeth, but not everybody's a dentist. Yeah. Like that kind of analogy. If you put enough practice into it, you can be enough education experience. You can be, very open. Yeah. But because I have a hard time with that whole thing as well, but I'm trying.
But I think that I say that everybody, but I'm talking about people who are even interested, because there's an awful lot of people who would turn their back to this kind of stuff. And those are the ones that aren't ready yet.
Absolutely. Newbies.
Yeah.
I call them newbies.
Because they're at levels of development. And so maybe they're just before they're going to get to the spiritual stage. But, like my sister could care less about this stuff.
Well, my brothers are the same.
Mm-hmm. I totally forgot where I was going to go.
That's my life.
No, that's all right. You did that.
It comes. Do you, out of all of these people that you have sat down with, you have people who've had profound experiences, whether it's one way or the other, they come back changed. How many people have you interviewed that, sit back and say, I don't even want to remember it. I will document it, but I just want to go on with my life like it wasn't.
No,
nothing.
Never.
Wow. Those are pretty
but
amazing.
I need to correct something.
Okay.
I did not. I have interviewed people.
Okay.
But my research was done through NDERF, and what happened was that people would send their reports to NDERF, and then I would, and there's a big, huge, like they would tell the story, and then after the story, there's a huge questionnaire, and I would take the information from the questionnaire and tear it apart. And so it would be like how many people had saw the light, how many people had enhanced hearing, or the telepathy and things like that.
Okay.
So I broke it all up, and then Dr. Long used it in the information that I did with his book, Evidence of the Afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
When I was doing the research, and as I was telling you, I was seeing the spiritual information. I was so enthralled that after the research was finished, I kept going. And I have contacted quite a few of those people, and I've talked to them, but I didn't interview anybody.
Okay.
I feel like you should have your own documentary.
Or your own radio show.
No, thanks. No. Too much work, and I'm still busy writing. I have a book right after this that I'm redoing because I've learned and grown more since the original book, The Wonder of You. I'm sort of adding a little bit to it, and then it'll come back out again. So it's not out right now. And then the next book is going to be The Star of Consciousness, because I really believe that's the bottom line. And what it is that 5 elements, 5 like a star, that are scientific information that show that we are spiritual. All of the scientific stuff that shows we are spiritual beings.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I definitely have a great understanding of the collective consciousness because I've toyed with it. I've said it a few times on the show where, I mean, I do a lot of energy planetary stuff too, where the consciousness comes in to play. But I've experimented by using obscure words like swell. Swell was one. My daughter said, "You should say swell." I said, "All right." So I just put it out there, swell. And because it's a really old, like what is it, like a 60s thing or 70s thing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I just started seeing it and hearing it more. And I'm like, that is craziness. So then I would do it again with some other obscure word, or sometimes it's a song. I would just put a song in my head that, you haven't heard in a long time. And all of a sudden I started hearing it everywhere.
Yeah.
So I get the whole collective consciousness thing. I like how it works. I love how we are totally in tune with other people without even realizing it.
Yes.
I think it's pretty awesome.
It's like a synchronicity. Yeah.
I use it for meditation, where you go into the collective. Kelly Howell does that with binaural beats, and she guides you through it. And it's a collective measure. It's quite phenomenal. If I could stay awake, it is to help sleep. But I'm like knocked out in the first 7 minutes.
Beats put me out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like gone. But you do absorb it while you're sleeping, because that's what it is created for. It's to work on your brain waves, and that is a collective collective oneness meditation, and it's my favorite. I've been using it for 12 years. Yeah.
No, I love it.
Sounds great.
It's beautiful.
I'm putting up your website into the chat stream that's going on all the different chat streams, so people can go and check you out. But for the live listeners, can you chime off your website for us? And you've already told us what you have coming up. Do you have any other interviews that you would like people to come and listen to? Tell us what else you have going on.
Well, I have... I'm on Facebook, and I'm also on LinkedIn, and I have a YouTube channel, and it's all under the name Lynn K Russell. So, you can find me there.
If you sent that, it will be in the show description as well, so they could just click on it.
Yeah. And then if you want to find me, just Google my name. I'm fine.
Easy
And
to
also,
find.
yeah, my website is lynnKrussell.com, which is super easy. And I have a place where you can contact me from there.
Excellent. So if anybody has any interesting NDE stories
Or questions
or questions, I love that. Thank you so much. As we're starting to head to the top of the hour, thank you. It was such a joy having you back on with us. It's been too long. It was just like a nice reunion. And it's been so much fun and so informative, as always.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy chatting with you too. So this is wonderful.
Oh, I am so glad because I adore you. We both adore you. And it's just been such an honor.
Well, thank you.
I will be in touch with links and so on. And yeah, and anytime you write that next book.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yes, contact us again because we would love to do this again with you.
Okay. And any all my books are on Amazon.
That's what, yes. Good. Thank you. I'm like, my phone's like ready to go.
I'm surprised you weren't already on there doing it.
No, because I was
lose Amelia.
Sometimes it's not often, but sometimes I will, if the book is amazing, I will order at the same time. I was so captured by you. I didn't want to miss a second.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lynn. And I will be in touch.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you. And good night.
Good night.
Well, we have come to the end of another fantastic segment. Isn't she lovely? She was one of our early guests. And oh my God, it did so well. That segment did so well. And unfortunately, when one of our main YouTube channels, being the network, not us, because we're good kids, got taken down during a certain time in the last couple of years, 3 years, we lost about 150 of our archives, and hers was one of them. Yeah. So I'm really thrilled that we were able to get her back on. And I think we may have to start bringing some of those guests back as reunion segments, because boy, there was a lot of good ones. But all of you guys in chat always make this so much better. We just so enjoy having you participate in everything. So thank you. Tomorrow night's going to be a good one. Both of our guests tonight contacted, me and said, hey, this might be fun. But what's going to make it really fun for our next guest is
it's a twofer.
It's a two-parter. I know. So Father Sean Whittington, many of you guys are going to know him from the hit TV show Eli Roth Presents the Legion of Exorcists on the Travel Channel. And he also hosts his own podcast show called Sean Whittington's Paranormal Ministry, which will be this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So he's doing our show tomorrow night. We're doing his show on the Friday at 5 p.m. So you'll have to just check it out. And we've been tagged in it. So if you go onto our Facebook pages or private pages, you should be able to just link on and go check him out, or just look up, Sean Whittington's Paranormal Mystery. And there we will be. So you kind of get like a, extra dose of Michelle and Amelia. Poor souls, you.
It doesn't make you sick.
I know. I know. You lucky people, you. But anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic day tomorrow, and we will see you tomorrow night right back here in chat. So we leave you with that, and good night.